Like pick your own apples, berries, and pumpkins, cut your own Christmas tree operations are fun for you and your family and a great way to support Vermont farmers. As the holiday season ramps up, we're in the studio getting festive today, talking all about Christmas tree season. Hello, Vermont, and happy Turkey Sandwich Day. Do you know what else is special about today? It's the day you start seeing evergreens tied to the top of people's cars as families all over the region head to their favorite U-Cut farms to harvest their Christmas tree. My guest today knows all about that joyful ritual, and I bet you he's familiar to many of you. Bob White is the owner of White's Tree Farm in Jericho, and look what he brought to the studio, our very own Christmas tree. Isn't that amazing? So it really does. Now I start to feel like, okay, we're done. We're moved through Thanksgiving. We're ready to go. Thanks for joining me. I was going to bring some ornaments and stuff to trim the tree, and instead I decided to, wear tinsel myself. So no ugly Christmas sweater for you, though, huh?
No, I didn't find one this morning.
That's okay. Well, that's all right. I've got enough ugly sweater on here for both of us.
Looks pretty good to me.
Well, thanks. All right, so tell us about the opening of Christmas tree season. What's it like getting ready for this time of year?
Pretty crazy because we go from absolute zero to absolute a gazillion people at a flip of a switch, and you hope you got everything right, because if you didn't, it's a little too late at that point.
Well, and what constitutes too late? Like what are you getting ready? Like what is the preparation look like?
At 9 o'clock, typically on 9 o'clock on Black Friday morning, we'll have a line with hundreds of cars in it, and by the time it gets to be 10 o'clock, there'll probably there'll be several hundred cars in the field, and people coming and going, and we're trying to make sure everybody stays safe.
Sure.
Kids all are happy, and everything's working. So you better have things like your credit card machines and all that kind of stuff working, and your balers and augers. Oh, there's a you can't make it up after the fact, because you turn on so fast. Yeah. And you're only open for a very short amount of time, and then you close.
Yeah, so you're like part traffic cop, part tree owner.
Oh, the whole 9 yards.
You have to do all of the things.
Yeah.
Well, so when did you get started planting Christmas trees?
First trees we planted is 1990. So I've been doing it for a lot of years.
Yeah. I was in high school.
Yeah. I was a little past high school.
And how did you get started?
I bought a field thinking it'd be a great place to have some kind of an agricultural business in front of the public. Didn't really know what, and a friend of mine said to someone, "Why don't you think about Christmas trees?" And I said, "Can I make that work?" And he said, "I think so." So started learning and went from there.
Had you farmed before? Did you have an ag background?
Dairy farm.
Dairy farm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So dairy farm. So you were out of dairy.
I grew up on a dairy farm, had moved away from dairy farming, and the farm was closing. And
but the land called you back.
Yeah, well, I've always had the land to grow pumpkins, grow whatever, but ended up growing Christmas trees, and it took off from there. And then a lifetime of learning how to grow them comes in.
Yeah, so my family grows trees in Louisiana. Totally different thing. It's mostly not really for lumber, mostly for paper.
Yeah.
Tree farming is something people don't think a lot about. It's such a different cycle. What's it like farming trees?
You better kind of sit back and think about it a little bit, because the first thing you got to do is figure out if you got your soils right and if they're balanced right. How do you feed them? If you got the right area for those kind of trees, or whatever kind of tree you want to grow may or may not work. I've advised a lot of people over the years, and most of them have come to me after they failed growing trees.
Yeah. Well, it takes a lot of patience, because how long does it take to, this is not, it's not a corn crop, right? It's not like you plant the seed, you harvest it the same year. How long does it take to bring a crop of trees?
Well, when we start, the trees we buy in to plant that are about this tall, if we're lucky they're this tall, they're about 5 years old then. And then it's about an 8 to 15-year process after that to where it gets to be a 7 to 8 foot tree, depending on the type. like
so,
a Fraser
yeah.
fir. Yeah,
Okay.
Fraser fir is a slower growing for most folks. And yeah, that's, if you're real lucky, you might make it in 8 years. But you better have some talent about how you're feeding it and what you're doing with it, how you're pruning it.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about that. So, yeah, what is the care and feeding of your trees like?
We feed them typically 3 to 5 times a year. For me to feed our trees is about a 5-day process at least every time.
I didn't even, how many acres is?
We've got 3 different farms.
Okay.
So probably 50 acres of trees.
Okay, okay. So 5 days to feed 50 acres of trees.
There's
okay.
about 50 some odd thousand trees out there.
Oh my gosh, that's
and then,
so many.
And then we got to keep the grass down in between the rows, so you got to mow them. We keep a lot of weeds and grass growing because we're on a river bottom. And if you ever have a flood, you better have a lot of ground cover. And that works quite well.
Protect those root systems.
But you still got to mow between so you keep the grass down. And to mow at my place is same thing, about 5 days. So every time you mow, it's a 5-day cycle. When you're only mowing with a little narrow mower, you don't get much done quick.
Is that like an all-day thing? Is it get on the mower in the morning, or does it take all day?
All day long for about 5 days if you're lucky.
And then how many times do you have to do that? How frequently?
4 or 5 times a year.
4 or 5 times a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you said you encourage the wildlife to come and be a part of the farm. So you've got pollinators and you've got deer and rabbits and.
In the springtime, we wait before we mow anything until all the dandelions are past, because the dandelions are the first thing that the bees can get into. And so we just let them have their time, and then we go in and mow after that.
Oh, I love that. That's lovely.
And then the other flowers start coming, and then when the butterflies come, we leave all the milkweed there. The milkweed's a little tough to deal with, but we leave it there for them, and they seem to know it's there, and they come from everywhere for that.
So you plant Frasers. What other types of trees do you plant?
Primarily now we're Frasers, cane and fir, and then there's some really interesting crosses that are coming on. Korean balsam cross is a beautiful tree. No bugs bother it. It seems to be able to tolerant to root diseases and things like that. Can grow in a little wetter soils. So it works pretty good.
And have all Christmas trees been selected for their growth habits, the fact that they grow into what we recognize as a Christmas tree, or is this something that happens through the pruning?
All the above.
All of the above, okay.
So if we've had many years of some very talented folks growing trying to do different genetics and seed types and things like that, and see what it works. And it takes 2 or 3 generations before you say, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
And we're into that now, because there's been a couple of generations of people doing that. And so we get the benefit of finding trees like the ones we grow that grow the way we want them to, instead of going, what's that?
Well, so, and I know you're part of the Vermont Christmas Tree Association.
Yes.
Is that some of the support that comes from being a part of that? Because
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's a community of growth.
Yes.
You all learn from each other.
Oh yeah, it's actually a 2-state organization we have, is a New Hampshire Vermont Association.
Right.
There's
shout out to New Hampshire. We don't do enough shout outs to New Hampshire. Hi, New Hampshire. Okay.
There's probably 100 and some odd farms in that organization. And we get together twice a year for meetings at farms, and then get together once in the wintertime. Mostly go over how to deal with bugs and pests and all that other kind of stuff. But at the farms, you learn how everybody else is doing something.
Yeah.
And we're real good about talking about what we do wrong.
Well, that's the best way to learn, right?
Oh,
You got to learn from the mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that, so at your farm too, you also have operations. I mean, it's a whole experience. You come to the farm in part because, I think partly people come because they want to see you. and then getting to walk the lanes and look at trees. What do you notice about people when they're at the farm? I mean, you must be such an observer of families and their various rituals for how they pick trees.
The absolute vast majority are having a great time.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you'll see a family that isn't, and then you try to work with them to help their day get better or whatever, but most everybody's there for a good time. And then you get out in any other environment, you don't see that many people that are trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
And it lets mom and dad get the kids out of the car running around, and they don't have to worry about where the kids are running around or what they're doing. They're just out there having fun. If you take them to some other environments, mom and dad's got to keep a real close eye on them and all that stuff. And not so much there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, other than try in the parking lot, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Once you get out in the fields,
Yeah,
the
once you get out
parking
in the
lots,
fields.
you got to be kind of careful.
Yeah. So, do you have any great tips for people when they're looking for trees? I mean, it's so personal, right? Like,
Yeah.
I like a wonky tree. I'm always going to look for sort of the odd branch. I like an open space. But how about you? Do you have any tips for like selecting a tree?
I always tell, we have a lot of workers, and I always tell the workers the same thing. It doesn't matter what tree comes out of the field, smile and say, that's a nice, where'd you find that great looking tree?
That was my favorite one.
Yeah, well, usually when a tree comes out that looks quite odd, we smile, and dad or mom kind of looks down at somebody that's about that tall and says, that's the tree they wanted, so that's what's going home with us.
Well, we all love a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I love that that's kind of part of our cultural rituals of Christmas, is celebrating the trees that get left behind or the ones that might get overlooked. I love that. Well, so what's your favorite thing about opening season?
Seeing all the people come in, having a good time, and hoping the weather cooperates.
Oh, well, what do you hope for? Do you hope for dry weather or do you hope for snow?
Frozen ground.
Frozen ground, okay.
So then the cars, then I can let everybody drive in the fields and all that other kind of
No
stuff, and we
mud.
can get around. No mud. Last year was not that way.
Yeah.
And
This
luckily,
year you might get your wish.
yeah, we're hoping.
Uh-huh.
And one year we had the snow was so deep we had to hand everybody snow shovels to find the trees. Really, they had to dig down. It was more than 2 feet deep. So to cut a tree, they had to dig down to the ground before they could cut them.
Yeah.
But
Wow, so for as many memories as people are making at your farm, you are equally making memories every single year, watching this entire experience. Okay, last question. What's your favorite Christmas song?
had to think about it a while, but White Christmas.
Perfect pick. I don't think that I could have come up with a better one.
My wife says I'm humming it all the time. So
The Bing Crosby version, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's a classic.
Yeah.
My dad actually was a big fan of that one. Makes me think of my dad. Bob, thank you so much for joining me. This has
Thank
been
you,
lovely.
Amy.
And
Okay.
everybody, go out and get that Christmas tree. It's the time of year. Let's do it. As always, thank you for learning and exploring with me today. And thanks to the team that makes Across the Fence possible. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back and let's learn and explore again tomorrow.